Everyone. Welcome to Castify's August webinar, where we're going to highlight some of our newer features in 2026, our just recently launched standards aligned content, as well as Submit AI. I am going to give people about one more minute to join us. So for those of you that are here already, thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us. We will have a Q&A at the end if there are questions. So you can put those right into the chat. Some of them might be answered in real time by some of our Castify headquarters, people that are helping out. And then we will have some time to discuss questions at the end as well. So I'll just give it a little more time here before we officially begin. Okay. In order to respect everybody's time, we are going to jump right in. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Castify's August webinar. My name is Lori. I'm the Customer Success Training and Operations Coordinator here at Castify. And today we are going to discuss two newer features to Castify. The first is really exciting. It just launched today, our standards aligned content. And then our Submit AI feature that launched earlier this year. So thank you for spending part of your afternoon with us. As schools gear up for a new year, AI is no longer a future consideration. It's a part of daily decision making in schools and in classroom life. So today we're super excited to have Aaron Baughman, the Associate Director of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships of the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, and our very own Shayla Rosen, Customer Success Manager here at Castify, former first grade teacher. So we're going to walk through some of our newer features and then discuss how they really help teachers save time and give students impactful feedback. So this will impact both lesson prep and when students show authentic mastery of a concept or a skill. So whether you're a teacher, instructional coach, district leader, we hope that today you'll walk away with immediate high-value strategies that elevate student agency, streamline that lesson prep, and make AI work for your classroom. So before we dig into all this, I'd like to invite our panelists to introduce themselves. Aaron, welcome. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Aaron Boffman. I'm a 26-year educator, taught elementary, middle school, was a middle school principal, curriculum director, and my last 9 years were spent as assistant superintendent in Northville Public Schools in Michigan. I spent the last 18 months on loan to the state of Michigan as an AI strategist, where I co-led the task force for the state of Michigan on artificial intelligence in schools. And on July 1st, I retired from public schools and work for a nonprofit, Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, where I do the same work just under a different umbrella and basically travel around the state and country working with teachers, principals, kids on how to use AI to empower the work that they're doing in classrooms and all other innovations.
Fantastic. What a wealth of knowledge you're going to bring to this conversation. Shayla, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I am Shayla, as Lori just said, and I taught for 20 plus years for Chicago Public Schools, most of that in first grade. So I really appreciate everyone joining today. I know how busy this time of year is, and we're excited to show you how you can incorporate Castify to save some of that time as you're planning and prepping for the school year. I am now a customer success manager here over at Screencastify, and I work with districts to support them with their adoption and make sure they're getting value out of using it in the classroom.
Awesome. It's wonderful to have you both here today, to bring the perspective of school leadership with Aaron. And then Shayla, you're going to help us stay grounded in that classroom practice as a former teacher, now ed tech professional and enthusiast. So, for a while now, teachers have had the ability through Castify to turn video into interactive quizzes, and that increases student engagement. It can also be used for formative assessment. But as I mentioned, we just launched a new standards aligned library that videos come complete not only with these interactive questions, but also supporting documents. And what's great is they are attached right to the watch page. They can be translated by the viewer in 90 different languages. They can also be downloaded or printed. So if you have access to our premium library with a pro or organization license, you can actually see this content live right now under premium library. And if you want to try it, if you don't have that type of subscription, you can head over to castify.com/content to check that out. So one study, I mean, we know this, Shayla, you and I know this as former teachers, how much time goes into lesson prep for teachers, right? So one study found that a teacher can spend over 7 hours just on this alone. So our goal in creating this curated library, as well as the Submit AI features, is to help teachers streamline those workflows and give them some time back in their day, in their week, and so on, so they can focus on what really matters in the classroom. So we would love for you to show us this brand new content library.
Absolutely. As a former teacher, I'm so excited about this because there just is not enough time, as Lori said during the day. I always had all these things I'd want to do, but it could sometimes take my whole lunch hour since we know teachers don't always have time for a break and work through it just to put something together for my class. And there's so many expectations and things we need to do. So this library is just incredible. This is what it looks like from the user view. And you can put in your standard. We know many districts are really focused on those I can statements for their students, or even moving to standard aligned grading. There's been a lot of discussion of that, and I meet with districts that say they've already done that. So, a really great way to track learning by standard, have something ready to go, and then use your class time for other things, for your small groups, for discussions, whatever you need. So, this is what it looks like. At the top here, I could enter my standard or topic. I can get more detailed in my search. And then once I have a video, such as here, the Constitution, I can look at it right here on my screen. I see the standards this aligns to. I see a description. There's three multiple choice questions ready to go. This could be my activating prior knowledge or my exit ticket, whatever you might need to make sure students are mastering that content. And then with it, you get documents. So right here, there is a homework PDF or Google Doc that you can use. You can edit it for your students to complete. Parent tips if you want parents to understand what is being taught. And then a study guide for your students. And again, all of these are editable. There is also a transcript. So this transcript can be translated to support all students and make learning accessible. And then all I have to do is either add the video, that just gets me the video, or and the quiz, or add video plus the materials that go with it. It's in my library and I'm ready to assign it to my students.
That's great. And if you noticed, next to the premium library, there's the new button alerting you to the fact that that Castify content is now in there. Um, so thanks for, showing us that, Shayla, and sharing how you see it as a time saver. I would love to get your input, Erin. How do you think bringing this standards-based video content into Castify directly supports teachers in the classroom and then possibly even administrators?
I think it's a phenomenal help, obviously, because there's so many different resources out there, but it's hard to know what is good. And we leave teachers to try to make those decisions by themselves every day, where now they've been curated into a place where they've been verified. And also, when you think about curriculum teams in a district, they are able to then maybe work together to identify the videos and materials that make the most sense and put them together for teachers so that everyone is using the same material. I mean, our real push has been to break down the four walls of the classroom and make learning go beyond just those four walls. And so when you can provide kids this access to materials outside of those four walls, you really are expanding their learning. And I grew up as a kid without a lot of resources. I was raised in poverty, and so I can't imagine having access to learning because only place I could get it was in a school. And now kids can have their teachers push this material out to them, and they can learn anytime, anywhere, any place. And so I think it's really exciting, both from the access point of view, providing some more equity for kids who are in underserved areas, but also making teachers' lives better and easier because they are able to get to materials they can trust. They're able to quickly search by standard. They're able to attach those standards to the work they're doing, align it with their curriculum, and then ultimately provide their kids with learning opportunities that are just stronger. And I think it's really a huge help to them to be able to have access to all of this. And on top of that, all of it powered by AI, where those quizzes, which can be modified using artificial intelligence, so that teachers can make adjustments without spending a great deal of time trying to come up with additional questions or enrichment or even creating questions for lower level students who struggle, but you still want them to be able to access the same content. I mean, there's just so many ways that this can turn into something for teachers that opens up the world to multilingual students, to students who are lower reading levels, to students who are advanced, who need enrichment. It's all in one place when it comes to using something like this.
Thanks so much for sharing that, especially the equity piece. I think with technology, that's such an advantage, being able to ensure that everyone is getting access to resources like this. And the standards that are linked to this content, that's by state, there's Common Core, there's even NGSS standards. Let's talk a little bit about use cases for those supplemental documents as well. Um, as I mentioned, those documents, and you saw, Shayla, in the demo, that those documents are right there on the watch page. They can also be downloaded, they can be printed. So these are great for, small group and stations. If you know you're going to be out and you're going to have a sub, you could assign one of these video packets to your class right in your LMS. As we mentioned, from an accessibility standpoint, this is great for our multilingual students, as well as those that need more supports in place. Not only do they have that video visual, but then the translations and the transcript all support. It's great for homework, right? If you're flipping your classroom, you're starting maybe a new unit or covering a complex topic, and you want students to have access to it before you launch it in class. It could be utilized this way. We know students do miss class, but that doesn't mean they have to miss the material with content like this. And then it can also be a bridge to the home. So I see this as a great way to let families know what to talk to their students about. I know as a parent, when my child comes home and I ask them about what they did in school, I don't always get a lot of the content included. So by sharing some of these things with families, then that gives them the information that they need to be able to support the learning that's happening at school. So I'm super excited about all of these documents that come with these videos and see that as a huge asset to the platform right now. Um, so these interactive quizzes also that come with this, right? We mentioned the student engagement piece, we mentioned the formative assessment piece, and then when content like this is used in combination with submit, that's going to allow the student to show that authentic mastery of the concepts and the skills. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about Submit AI, which launched earlier this year. We've had Submit for longer than that, and it is sort of our standout feature here at Castify, because it does allow students to show you what they know in video form. It's great for summative assessment. And with Submit AI, now there's even more added time-saving features for teachers, but also some support for students. So Shayla is going to fire up Submit AI and show us some of the time-saving features for teachers first in that assignment creation step.
So on the page here, you just select submit, and at the top, you're going to see what kind of topic you want to create. So this topic is a thesis statement. Should cell phones be allowed in schools? You can add as much detail as you want right here, what you're looking for. In this case, we're just keeping it really, really simple. And we know students need to be showing us they're doing the work themselves. So by having students do this as a submit video, they are showing us their creative thinking, they're analyzing, they're demonstrating that they really can do the work and understand what a thesis statement is. And since they're doing it on video, we know that they are not using AI, that they are truly telling us and doing the work and have mastered it. So here I just put in my general topic. As a teacher, you can use AI to generate that rubric, and that rubric can be available to your students as they're recording so they know what the expectations are. So I have in my details, and I'm just going to select generate topic. And this does not take very long. As I mentioned too, you can get more specific here, such as what grade level you're looking for, how many supporting details you want them to include, whatever you might need. Here you see, I now have a topic title. I have details for my students. And then right here, I can decide the recording type. And I really love this because maybe they're giving a presentation to go with it. Maybe I just want them talking. You can also let your student choose. So as Lori mentioned, this can be a summative assessment. Now that you've used standard video, our new standard aligned videos throughout your unit to see how your students are doing, and this is that final assessment, maybe it's their choice how they present this over video. So you set that up how you would like it. Here, you can set a time limit. It can be custom, or you can select from one of ours. The points are already there. A standard can still be tagged. It can align to all the standards you previously used with your unit. Now here, if I need to make changes and give the rubric more details, I can. Here is my rubric, which can be edited. And then if I want my students to see the rubric, I just toggle this on, select AI grading if I want their help with it. So this is the teacher's choice, but this is going to save teachers time. Back to that time saving. AI is going to give you a suggested score, and then you as the teacher still have to decide if you feel that is the score that is warranted. And then students, after they record, can get coaching from the AI coach. So before they turn it in, again, this is an opportunity for them to show that they've demonstrated learning. So if the coach comes back with suggestions, they can redo it. And then finally, just making sure you have your settings correct. If you want students to view each other's videos, then you need to make sure anyone in my domain, and then you can select that. You can also, this will require sign in. You have your choices right here. And for our younger students, anyone with the link, you can have them just type in their name when they do this. So much easier for them.
Fantastic. Thanks for showing us that, Shayla. So, Erin, in your work across Michigan, you support building leaders who are navigating the shift from AI theory to actual classroom practice. So, how does a tool like Submit AI help administrators move their staff past AI hesitation toward that meaningful time saving for teachers?
Our first responsibility as leaders is to lower the anxiety floor when it comes to AI and see the value. And hesitation usually happens when teachers fear that AI is trying to replace something. What I build in Northville and what we've done with all the other districts is really built on three standards. One, it must make teachers' lives better. Number two, it must make learning more innovative and engaging. And number three, it must maintain the uniquely human elements of teaching. And so when I look at a program like Submit AI, I've been so excited about this coming for like literally for more than a year and a half when we first found out it was going to be potentially coming. This is going to get to the heart and soul of what AI really does for kids. Now, on the teacher side, it's going to make it really easy for them to do. I mean, you watched her walk through that and build an assignment in just a couple minutes. You're going to be able to not only provide better access for your kids, but in a way that doesn't take you a lot of time. If I show that to teachers and show them how simply that AI can build out even my rubric and my feedback piece, not only am I freeing up time, but when a teacher spends less time writing the exact same feedback on 30 different initial drafts, they immediately unlock more time for targeted one-on-one interventions. We get that human element, right? When a teacher is spending all their time trying to give feedback in writing, they don't have a lot of time to work with kids. But when Submit is giving that initial feedback, teachers are able to monitor that now and be able to find the students who need that additional support and meet with them one on one. So they're getting targeted one on one time or in small groups. And it's not about doing more work or replacing teacher judgment, as she shared. The teacher maintains full control in this situation and is giving those students. It's about taking the heavy lifting off of like creation and the time that's spent that takes away from time with kids to free up that high impact human work that made us enter the profession in the first place as teachers. We wanted to make a difference in kids' lives. We wanted to help them, to love learning and to spark curiosity. That's all the things you get to continue doing, and you have more time to do it because all that time in creation is now being streamlined with AI. And on top of that, you can still decide exactly what's happening. And ultimately, kids have access now to mastery learning because if you were to try to do this as a teacher, you would have to give them the assignment, take it back, give feedback, give it to them. They do it again. I take it. That is impossible to do when you're outnumbered 1 to 30. And so with Submit AI, you're able to do that, but not only do that, you're also able to get them, like you can hear their thinking. It's not just reading a static piece of paper. I can watch them on the screen. I can hear their voice. I can hear what's happening in their head. And And a byproduct of that is we deal with some of the academic integrity issues that exist around AI right now because there is no way to shortcut the system when they're talking through their thinking. And it also opens up a whole new world to classes and subjects that don't use traditional writing. Maybe there are more performance-based or more explanatory. If I'm a welding teacher, I can have kids explain the process of welding where I couldn't capture that necessarily in a traditional type of classroom. And so I'm really excited to see. And what I've always said to teachers is if you give me an hour, I'll save you 10. If I can show them the value of that heavy lift and then say, and also, by the way, not only making your life better, but also giving your kids really high level, engaging, and innovative work, to me, that's a no-brainer. And that's where we always start with the teacher efficiency side.
That's great. Thanks for sharing all of that. I remember when I was in the classroom and I would ask my students to write, and some of them don't love it and they would complain. And I would say, your thinking is invisible. It's so important for me to know where you're at with this right now. And so that really resonated with me when you said that. And, when you bring video in, it really is a game changer for a window into someone's thinking. It's super powerful.
It's also multiple modalities that we talk about giving kids different access points. This puts that in their hands immediately.
Fantastic. So what's cool about Submit AI is it also introduces features like AI Coach that allows students to get instant feedback on a draft recording before the final submission. So Shayla's going to talk us through. We have some screenshots of the AI Coach for this thesis statement for whether cell phones should be allowed in school.
So we have a couple examples here of the feedback that the AI coach provided. And you can see on the screen here that they have not turned in their assignment yet. And as Erin mentioned, we're trying to save teachers time and we know kids want instant feedback. But I know myself, I had 32 students in my class year after year. So to take the time and really provide thoughtful feedback to my students would take time with the videos. So now they're getting feedback instantly and they can make improvements before turning that in. So here, our AI coach is really good about giving those glows first, what they did well, and then their grows. How can they improve this? Maybe they needed to give more details. And it even says strengthen your presentation. Consider adding more specific examples of how cell phones can be used responsibly in different school settings. And then students can re-record, get more feedback, and then turn it in whenever they feel ready. And one of the hesitations I've heard is, well, do students get to talk to the AI coach? No, they do not. The AI coach is there to just give them feedback so they can improve and turn in the very best piece of work for that assignment.
That's an important piece. You know, there's a lot of hesitation around AI for that very reason. So I'm glad that you clarified that. And I also love that the AI coach does start with strength and then moves into area improvement, right? That's how I think we all like to get feedback, right? What are we doing well? And what is our next step in improving? So, Erin, I'm going to ask your opinion on this now. How do you see these features of the AI coach for the student side of Submit AI helpful in supporting that metacognition, right? Helping students think about their thinking, and then also that self-directed learning for students, and then also share a little bit about what you think the advantages for teachers.
I mean, this is probably the most impactful part of AI in general, but certainly of Submit. Traditionally, feedback in education has been sort of a post-mortem. Student completes an assignment, turns it in. Several days for a grade are waited. They look at the final score. There may be comments, then we move on to the next topic. By that point, the learning window is closed, or it no longer makes sense to them. They move on to six other assignments since that was even done. But AI coach completely flips that dynamic on its head by moving feedback out of the summative realm, sort of out of the postmortem, and places it right into the formative learning loop. So immediate feedback, which is what we always want to give students, but it's physically impossible in large part. So so when students receive instant actionable feedback on the draft of their video or their screen recording, it forces them a critical, what I think like a cognitive pause. Instead of just pressing submit to get the task over with, they're prompted to stop, review the feedback, measure their performance, think to themselves, what could I do differently? Did I actually explain the concept clearly? Did I hit the required criteria? Did I meet the rubric? And that process of monitoring their own comprehension and actively choosing to adjust, that's the textbook definition of metacognition. It transforms students from these like passive completers of work, which is what we have far too often, into the directors of their own journey. Like, I decide what I want to do with the feedback. I decide how much I want to impact the work that I do. And I can immediately do that without having a separation between the learning and the work and the feedback loop. And beyond the cognitive shift, there is a crucial benefit here that the AI coach creates a safety net. Students, especially shy or struggling students or students who've been, unsuccessful in the past, they're often hesitant to make mistakes. And so they either don't do the work or they just worry about it so much and they're just trying to get the answer right. And sometimes that forces them into potentially cheating or shortcutting, where this AI assistant offers low stakes, non judgmental space, which is them and the bot, where trial, error, and revision are built into the workflow. And so it normalizes drafting and taking risks as a normal part of excellence because they know it's just a matter of getting the feedback, trying again, getting the feedback, and crafting their answer. So we're teaching students that failure isn't a permanent grade penalty, which far too often it is in our former way of doing sort of this type of feedback, but it's valuable data that we use and create a feedback loop. And so it's always try it, learn, change, try it, learn, change. And so it's huge. And for teachers, not only is it minimizing the amount of grading and feedback, which, if you're a math teacher and you have 5 minutes to every kid and you have a full class load, it's 10 hours. Like, it's just impossible to do. And if you're an English teacher and you assign an essay, I mean, you can say goodbye to your weekends for a couple of weeks. Well, now students can have access to a coach during the writing process. They're getting feedback every single step of the way. By the time they're at the end, everybody's product is good because it's been mastery learning. And the teacher is now feeling like, there's success here. And they're able again to meet one-on-one in small groups because they're monitoring the coaches. They're watching how kids are responding to the feedback they're getting, and then they're pulling kids individually. But they don't have to worry about what the other kids are doing while they're having those small group or one-on-one time because they are working with the coach. So I just think that there is so much here, again, across the levels between teacher efficiency, teacher success, and competence in what they feel successful doing, students and equity. I mean, there's just so many realms. I'm just excited about seeing this type of coaching happening on a regular basis for kids.
So true. As you were explaining that, I was thinking about how much we talk about a growth mindset in schools and in classrooms. And, this AI coach is a really powerful tool in, you know, reinforcing that, right? Like, yeah, this is my first try at it, but guess what? I have some information now that can help me make my response better. So I think that's really helpful for teachers and for students. Um, okay, so I'm really excited for Shayla to show next, sort of the coaching piece for the teacher. So after you have 3 submissions on a Submit AI assignment, that is when the teacher feedback is going to kick in, where you'll get suggested grading, class feedback, and then powerful next steps for instruction.
I'm excited to show you. This is one of the pieces I love because as we've been talking about time saving too, we get our results. And as a teacher, I'm like, well, what do I do next? What should my next assignment be? What should I teach them next? And With this, you have it ready to go. So here's the assignment, the one we did on the thesis on cell phones. I can see I had 5 students complete it so far. And right now I'm opening the page. I can see the assignment right here. I can view the rubric again. I can start going through my student assignments. But this is the part that I love the most because it's going to inform my instruction. What do I do next? What do I need to reteach? As Erin said, it's giving me that time back to figure out my small groups one-on-one, make sure all students are getting the content and I'm helping them do that thanks to this feedback because now I have my group strengths, areas my class needs to improve, and my next steps. And then right here, suggested assignments for me. I could now have them analyze the benefits and drawbacks or create a video here explaining how to structure arguments. So it's giving me something ready to go and to use with my students. And then down here, I can see who completed the assignment and the suggested score. So this score is not finalized till myself as the teacher has agreed to it. So if I were to click here, it says confirmation needed, but if I open it, I can also see the explanation from AI. And then if my thesis on the topic should so. And then if I agree, hit the green check or do my own grade, and it's there ready to go. So those hours are back. I can get through these student videos, get them their feedback, and we can start working on other lessons and continue the unit.
Fantastic. Erin, from your perspective, how do you see these features that support the teacher's next step really changing the conversation around student mastery, student feedback, and even grading in schools?
I think it turns the entire conversation on its head in a good way because we've been forever wanting to be able to provide mastery and one, every kid getting what they need when they need it, how they need it. It's just been too much of a daunting task. I used to say that when I was a curriculum director, I was in a district where I felt like I was in a ship that was going down. I had 2 kids in one life jacket, and I was always having to make choices. But now I can provide every kid with high quality, instantaneous feedback that still remains under my domain. And my wife, who's a 6th grade teacher, has been doing a lot of this AI feedback now for some time with her students. And what we're finding is that when students get regular feedback that's high quality, that is specific, and that is timely, they're it's strengthening the work they're doing. I mean, I know that sounds like an obvious thing, but we are seeing it come to life for the first time really ever. And so what you're providing here to teachers is not only are kids getting all that feedback, but teachers are able to genuinely feel like they're going through that work, seeing where kids are actually making progress. They know their kids better. They certainly get some of their time back, both for their own personal life, but also for their work as a professional. And on top of that, their students start to find success. And, who doesn't love that? I mean, that's a win-win-win at this point. And ultimately, what you see happening here is then the conversation about grading, which has been so difficult over time, doesn't have to have so much contention to it because frankly the conversation on grading has become about responsibility and fairness and time and all those things, and we can change the conversation now because feedback is instantaneous, it's high quality, and you're giving the teacher the ability to still maintain full control. And by the way, if I go through the feedback and I say I don't think that, I don't, you just remove it. If you say, well, it didn't say this, then you just add it. It's not taking anything away from the teacher's ability to do that, but it is giving them a huge running start. And a lot of times you may say some of the same things over and over again. Well, now you don't have to keep making those things and then trying to come up with. You get to spend the time as a professional using your skills as a teacher to say, what do I think is most important for my kids? Instead of spending all this time drafting things for them so that you don't have time to really think about how to move them forward. And now, with all of that information and to be able to like digest, not only can I see across the class what does every kid need, but I can see where those small subgroups need to exist. Like these kids are struggling with this, and these are struggling with this, so I'm going to really get to them what they need. In the past, we've spent so much time figuring that out that we haven't had time to actually do anything about it. And now the figuring it out is so much faster that we can do something about it, including create a new activity or pull in from those videos and say like here's the video that's going to help you move along. Like when you watch all these pieces come together, you realize this is a total game changer when it comes to the learning environment and the future of school. Like I just think that it's going to change totally the conversation if we can move past the idea of doing something very different. I think teachers are just going to find themselves in a world of like, I can't believe this is possible. I was just presenting yesterday to a group of teachers, and every time I show them some of these things and what's possible, you could just see the look. It's almost like their shoulders come down. It feels like a weight's been lifted, and all of a sudden they realize, wow, if this is true, imagine if I could do this, this, and this. And that's what I love about what we're seeing here.
That's fantastic. And like on the student side, when you were talking, I was thinking we really do have to teach our students how to learn. And so with this automated feedback, they really are learning how to learn, right? How do I take that feedback, apply it? So like you said, it's a win-win. It's a win for teachers, it's a win for our students. Um, so before we hop into answering some questions, I just want to remind everyone that our standards aligned videos are live now. If you have access to our premium library, you're going to see those right in the platform. There's a yellow banner that says new next to premium library. And when you open up premium library at the top, you'll see one of the options is Castify content. If you happen to be on a free or starter license, you can still trial this content by heading over to our website. You can go to castify.com/content, and I believe there's 5 free trials for you. But just clicking on one of the videos to seeing what the video package looks like is totally free. If you add it to your library, that would be considered one. And then I do want to highlight another asynchronous resource to support users with getting more comfortable with the platform in general. You can leverage Castify University to take your learning into your own hands with our newly created asynchronous courses. You can start them, return back to them. There's 5 courses. And once you complete the course, you'll be certified and you'll receive a badge that you could attach to your email signature or share on your socials. So you can check that out at castify.com/university. It's also in the platform. If you've ever looked in the bottom left-hand corner by your name, there's 3 dots there. And when you click on that, you'll see the university tab down there. So let's see, I know a couple of our questions have been answered. And then let's see here, we have some other ones. So Shayla, I think you'll be able to help with this. When teachers create a submit assignment and we're on a premium subscription, what do students need to do? We use Google Classroom.
Absolutely. So for this, a Google Classroom user has a couple options. My recommendation is always just copying the link and put it into your Google Classroom. And that way students can click on it. They do not need the extension to record. They just need access to their webcam. They do their recording, and when they're ready, they hit that green button to submit it to their teacher. For Google Classroom, there is an option where you can also share it directly into Google Classroom. That works as well. The grades then would be grading it in Google Classroom, but students wouldn't be able to view all the videos. So it depends on the workflow and what you're looking for. I always just think copy the link and put the assignment in there is likely the easiest way to do it.
Fantastic. Another question about Submit AI from the teacher perspective. Does the system help a teacher construct their rubrics?
Yes.
And can those be edited?
Yes, so both. It's going to generate a rubric for you with suggested points. You can go through it and change it how you see fit. So, like anything, I always like to think with AI tools, it's getting me started, but you are still in control of what you are assigning to your students, what that rubric looks like on your end, since you know your students best and
Mhm.
what you would like them to accomplish with the assignment.
So, someone else is asking, are there train the trainer materials that can be shared over the newer features? I can answer this one. I did just mention Castify University. So you will find a video on Submit AI in the assessment course, and then that will walk you through all the features that Shayla demoed. We also have another course on accessibility and differentiation, which has some good information related to Transform, which is what generates those documents in Submit AI. So I would recommend that train the trainers check out that university, and then those courses can also be pushed out to your staff. So let's see. I think we have time for about one more question here. Okay, Aaron, I think you're going to be really helpful in this one. Oh yeah, this is what you stated. And actually, I was wondering the same thing. So I'm glad you're asking this, Heidi. What were the three discussion points that you shared for moving past that AI hesitation?
Number one, it must make teachers' lives better. Number two, it must make learning more innovative and engaging. And number three, it must maintain the uniquely human elements of teaching. Those were our three pillars.
Fantastic. One more question about a premium account. Um, on a premium account, so you're noticing that there's 20 AI credits on Submit. So Shayla, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's related to the subscription, correct?
Correct. So the Submit AI, if you are on a district or a school account, was an add-on this
Mhm.
year that schools could purchase. Additionally, though, even if your district did not purchase it or your school did not, you still get 5 free trials of it to see how it adds value to your workflow. So the 20 credits are, think of it like generating your topic is a credit, the rubric is a credit. So that's how it amounts out to those 20 credits in there.
Fantastic. Um, okay. I think that there was a question earlier, and this will be a quick one for you to answer, Shayla. I mean, we sort of showed it, but how much time does it actually take a teacher to set up an assignment, either using the standards aligned video or Submit AI or in combination?
I think the standard aligned content, if you know what you want to teach and what's standard, that should take minutes. You just have
Mhm.
to preview the video and find the one you want to use for your class. But the goal of this is I'm out sick or I need a video for my class to start it off. This should be the part of your lesson planning that takes no time. For Submit, we all users have access to Submit. The AI features are where you see those credits right there. So if you still want to just try a submit assignment and create your own description of it, you can do that or test it out with that submit AI for that time. But I think if you know what you're looking to assign, for example for submit I want to see what my students read this summer, and I want to know they were reading. So they can make a video sharing the book and why someone should read it. You should be able to create that in a few minutes. And then with Submit AI, it's going to make the grading of the assignment go quickly. And as Erin said, students are going to get that instant feedback, how important it is for students to learn and grow and improve. It's a discussion I know we had at my school the last year I was leaving about the importance of retakes and giving students a chance to master the content
Mhm.
instead of just moving on to something else.
Mhm. Okay, one more before we wrap. How can teachers adapt or edit the embedded questions and supporting documents attached to a video in the packaged content? That's pretty simple. As soon as you bring it into your library from your video management page, you can click on the documents or the questions and edit them. Um, and then, like Shayla mentioned, if you only want the video and you want to create those things on your own, you would just move the video itself. And then just a reminder, those documents attach right to the watch page, and they can also be downloaded and printed. Okay, so I think that's a wrap for us today on our Castify August webinar, where we highlighted the exciting new features in 2026, our standards aligned content that just went live today, as well as Submit AI and all the time saving features that come with that. I want to give a huge thank you to our panelists, both Erin and Shayla, for grounding today's conversation in both system level vision as well as the real classroom reality. The future of feedback is personalized, standards aligned, and efficient. And we can't wait for you all to explore these newly released standard aligned content and for you to see what a difference Submit AI can make for teachers and for students in this new school year that is already upon us. So you can keep an eye out in your inbox for the recap email that will include the recording of this webinar. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out to our team if you have any questions. So thanks again, Shayla and Erin, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Good to see you, Shayla.
You too. Bye, Erin.
Bye bye.